before we get started, I just want to let you know, this is fast forward in the future, that the pickups in the middle that I was using were supposed to be reverse polarity, not reverse wound. So it matched the drawing that I'm originally going off of, which is the same as the Paul Reed Smith Silver Sky. But the pickups I actually received are not. So this is not reverse wound or reverse polarity. So I'm going to just wire this particular pickguard up. But please, check with whatever pickups that you're using, and I will post a new wiring diagram for both versions. So if you go with the hum canceling reverse wound, reverse polarity pickups that you can find a lot online, I'll have a wiring diagram for that. And if you do not, it's pretty straightforward. It looks exactly the same. So without further ado, here's the wiring. Ooh. Alright, what's up, friends on YouTube? What I'm going to do is sort of do a real-time or semi-real-time video of making a wiring harness for a Stratocaster pickup or pickguard that is heavily inspired by a Paul Reed Smith and John Mayer Silver Sky. Meaning, what I did was I went out and I searched for pickups that were right around 6.4K, which these are. This one's 6.33, this one's 6.32, and this one's a little hotter, 6.38. Very close to 6.4, very close to each other, I think is more important. And according to my wiring diagram, based on a few YouTube videos and forum members, this is what I've come up with. The only thing different is right here. This is connected to ground, this leg. And this pot, or this resistor, seems to have changed. This is all based on a prototype pickguard that I found on YouTube when they did a gut shot. And the wiring is the same to the production pickguard, but this resistor has changed to 3.3 mega ohm. So I went out and bought some 3.3 mega ohm resistors from Amazon, and the Mallory cap is yellow compared to the white one that the Paul Reed Smith uses, but it's no different. 0.1 UF, which is the same as the original 1963 pickups, or what Leo Fender put on his back then for Stratocasters. So that makes sense, especially because everything is kind of 63, 64 inspired. As far as pots, this is a 300K, the volume pot, which means that these pickups overall will be a little bit brighter. I went out and found this from All Parts, a 300K audio taper CTS split pot. So I installed that here in the volume position. The rest of the two positions are just standard CTS as well, pots, 250K. So 250K, 250K, 300. And to get a little bit into the nerdy thing here is that 300K really kind of brightens things up. Almost, it must have been to the point where it was too bright. So one of the ways around that, kind of ingeniously, is putting this 3.3 mega ohm resistor in line with the signal coming into the pot. And what that does is that calculates out to make this pot actually 275K. So it brightens things up just a little bit, but not too crazy, as if it would be with the 300K. So without any more delay, sorry for rambling, let's start wiring this up. So I'm going to wire this up more like a Strat, not like how the Silver Sky is. I'm not too big of a fan with how they routed that over here. I'm not actually sure that will work for a regular Strat. So, keeping vintage, I'm going to use just regular Scotch tape here and start dressing these pickups just a little bit before we get started. Just don't want anything get in my way. But also, make sure we're taking note about what pickup I'm wiring to the switch. Oh, I did forget to mention, in this particular pickguard, you can use any switch, but the Silver Sky uses a CRL. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that off for now. Just to make things a little bit easier for me. I can dress everything in the end. Anyway, so this is a CRL switch right here. This big difference being that there's this tension spring, which feels just so nice when you switch between them. Very solid. So, using my wiring diagram that I came up with, I'm going to start wiring. Now, this is probably going to be boring for most of you, and I'm totally sorry about that. So this one is going to go all the way over here. Oops, where's my clippers? Maybe we can reuse those wires, maybe not, after the ones I clipped. What's nice about this wax is that you can kind of push back the cloth. I like to just give it a little bit of an angle before I solder, just so it holds it in place, but also, for whatever reason, I need to replace this at a later time. Any of the pickups or swap them around. I don't think I will, but that at least makes it a little bit easier doing some rework. So let's get on to the boring stuff, soldering. Woo! Alright, so I have my iron a little bit hotter than I would if I was working on a circuit board. Just because, you know, heating up these pots takes a little extra heat. Alright, so we have that one. What's interesting is that since all three of these pickups are around exactly the same, that's what the Silver Sky supposedly is, all the same pickups. That the black now is used, and I already made a mistake. So here's some of the rework. I misinterpreted my own drawing. I'll just move this out and over one more. So do that, give it a little hit. See, that's why it's nice the way that I did it. Just give it a little bit of an angle to hold it in place while I solder. Alright, so since all three pickups are the same, in order to do a fancy reverse polarity hum canceling sort of thing, we're actually going to connect the black to the source on this. So again, kind of sort of mocking up everything as if I had it dressed to begin with. Do this. I mean, if you look at pots and stuff, it really appears like just the color of the wire is reversed. So it looks like white, white, white across here instead of white and black. You might be like, hey, something's wrong here. Again, sorry for the boring stuff. It's what you got yourself into watching this video. a little tension. Maybe just a little bit more of a bend on this guy. All right, whatever. Just at least get some on there. And then come in with some extra filler. Probably pop out, knowing my luck. Alright, so let that cool down. Next, we have the bridge. Now that, to make it sort of like how all of the custom shop, they kind of do one of these round sort of loops. So again, this is very much a hybrid of how a Strat would be from a custom shop, or you know, a vintage sort of deal. So trying to strike a balance with it all being Silver Sky inspired as far as the wiring pattern and layout. But anyway. Oh, and I do have a disclaimer that it is really early in the morning before my daughter wakes up. So if I am rambling on or being silly in any sorts of way, please go easy on me. Especially all the folks on YouTube who has a very strong potential to say or do whatever they want, which they should. Freedom of speech, right? But come on, man. Be nice. Or if I make a mistake, because it's not always fun making a mistake. Alright, so got that. Now I'll use the tape. I'll get a fresh one. Nothing fancy with this tape. Like the originals in the 60s were the same thing. Alright, so let's see. Do I have? Yes, I do. I'm going to just reuse some of this wire. I do have some cloth I might use from other projects. And what's kind of interesting is I haven't seen any even, you know, quote, modded Strat wiring in a way that before I came across these gut shots of the Silver Sky, meaning the way that these two are connected. We'll get to that shortly, but that's connected directly to a tone pot, so it's like sharing the connection. Might have some positive results, I'm guessing so. Alright, so we got that. I'm very excited to try this out, by the way. Alright. Make sure my angle is adjusted. So our friends at Lux Capacitors and Wiring, I'm going to use their wire to finish this. But they also, if you ever buy one of their capacitors, which are amazing reproductions, they provide this wiring diagram to kind of show how they used to do it to spec back in the day, which is really cool. But over here you can kind of see where I'm going with the wiring and such. So I think the biggest difference is maybe how I routed down here. I did a little loop. I forgot where I learned that from. I think I saw a custom shot. That's how they did it. But anyway, let's continue on. This capacitor is physically very big. And also it needs to kind of help connect this. So I'm just going to kind of reuse the lead here and fish it to the next one. Sort of lay it on top. And again, if you have a different color, like white is how they use it in the Silver Eagle. That's just the different years that Mallory made these caps. They're the 150s. They're just different colors. These are a little bit older than probably the new ones that you see on the Silver Sky. So since I have the heat up a little bit more, hopefully this takes just a little bit nicer on me. Yeah, that just flowed real nice. Don't need much to hold it in place. So I think I'm actually going to be able to reuse a lot of the wire. This is just going to be twisted. I'll give myself a little bit here, but all the extra wire from the Pickguard, or from the pickups, I should be able to get by. We'll find out. So here's one of the additions that I have not seen before. I'm going to push this cloth back pretty far. Use some needle nose pliers just to, yeah, there we go. From what I can tell from the pictures and friends online that so generously open up their Silver Sky, I'm gonna connect these two together. Just secure them in place with some solder. Again, I have to work quickly because my soldering iron is a little hotter than I would if I was doing other sorts of projects. But can clip these. Make sure I get them out of the way because otherwise the pickups will actually, the pole pieces will magnetize and hold on to those little clippings. Alright, so let's finish this one. That's right about there. I guess I could just pull back this cloth instead of cutting it. Yeah, look at that. Nice and clean. my wiring diagram. Yep, looking good. I think I'm going to hook this a little more inward. Cool. Make that look really pretty at the end. All right, now. Come on, push through. Ah, this is the other end, that's why. All right. Sorry for the lighting. I noticed now that there's some lighting issues. Alright, let's keep this going, especially before my daughter wakes up and I have to pull the plug on today. Now that I got all the parts in to do this harness, I really want to try it out. But as life keeps on reminding me, every time I rush, there's always something that isn't right or done the way that I would have preferred. So I'm going to just try to take my time. Alright, making really good progress here. Beforehand, I just bent a lot of these leads upwards. So if you have some leads that stick down a little bit further, just feel free to bend them in a way that makes sense to you. Alright, so I think at this point I'm going to do the connections to, or the grounding to all of these. On the side, so that's kind of an interesting way of doing it, but it makes sense. Actually, you know what? I'm going to clean this up by sacrificing a little bit so I can pull this back. I just remembered that another term for this sort of wire is called pushback cloth. For just that reason that you saw. See if I can get this to go together. Alright, so we got that good. Let's be a little bit more stubborn. Let's preload some of that there. I feel like this is the time I'm gonna get burned. Physically, of course. Come on. All right. All right, just gonna push this one. Preload. There we go. Okay, it's push back, but not push forward, apparently, huh? Anyway, that's fine. There we go. A little extra there. See if I can join it without making any sort of destruction to the other joint. Come on. That's looking pretty good. It's not easy soldering these, so all the folks kind of bashing the fine workers at PRS for their soldering work, they have to move quickly because and they're probably using solder that's not that is compliant to all the states and world regulations, and that's not easy stuff to work with. It cools down very quick. I'm fortunate enough to buy whatever I want and use whatever I want. As long as I'm not chewing on it, I guess I'm pretty safe. All right. So I think next is going to be the signal. Yep, so I actually didn't touch at all the extra wire that I bought here, the Lux cloth wire, which works out. Come on. Alright, so now we're going to grab a 3.3 mega ohm resistor. I don't need nearly as much as what they give you. For fun, I'm going to measure it. Oops, sorry for my arm. So I just want to get the camera angle appropriate. Alright, so, and if you might be asking, well, is there a difference between carbon, and which is this color, and well, it's climbing, so it's well within tolerance. You know, is there a difference between carbon, which is this color resistor, or the wire round? Some people say yes, some people say no. I'm sticking to what was in the you know, Silver Sky harness, which is carbon. Just because, trying to keep honest. Right, so got that. And again, the purpose of this resistor is to kind of lower the overall resistance value of this volume pot. And then the volume pots could vary largely in their tolerance, up to 20% actually. So I'm not sure if the difference in the resistance value between the prototype and then the production ones that I've seen is tuned to whatever the pot is, or if it's just assumption that, well, it's in tolerance. Every guitar is going to sound different no matter what, just because of those tolerances. So they'll just go with the theoretical calculated values, which is sort of what I'm doing here. Again, I'm going after the production sort of reproduction, if that makes sense. All right, just clip the extra. All right, here comes some fun. Usually all the wiring folks that I've seen, I'm just going to pull some of that back, even though it looks ugly, we'll twist these together, which I'm going to do this time as well. Yeah, it's just fraying. That's okay. I'll probably just burn off anyway. I'll do my best to twist them together or keep them together somehow. It's probably going to require some extra heat too, so. Right, pull them back and then take this opportunity to twist. Do the twist. They're all pretty tightly together. Alright, let's try to make this work. I'm pretty happy with how that came. And and most importantly, it doesn't come apart. Alright, so I think I'm going to look at everything, but I believe we're done. So this right here, well, you know what I'll do right now? Just because I probably will forget at some point, I'm going to connect this, but I want to keep the lead open, or the hole open, because that is what I'm going to connect my grounds to. So it's the tremolo claw, whatever you want to call it, and the ground to the output jack is going to feed through that hole. So, and then the signal out, so to your jack, is going to be that one right there. So yeah, I think we're looking pretty good here. So, unfortunately, I have to go get my daughter now, but I'll return back shortly. Alright, let's finish this off. We have the Pickguard ready to go. I did a test fit, make sure everything was aligned properly. These are no-load pots, so they spin really freely. I guess the real one, the real Silver Sky is similar. Yeah, just makes it have an easy sweep. But anyway, so we have 3 wires coming out, 2 grounds. One goes to the output jack, and the other one goes to the claw in the back of this particular model, and then here's the one for signal. So let's wire this bad boy up. So I'm just going to do the same sort of principle as before. I am going to send this Pickguard out as a sample to a member of the John Mayer community, or whatever you want to call it, forum, who's a longtime senior member. He loves comparing pickups and such, and he has a real Silver Sky, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say about this. But let's get going. Alright, so here's my output. I'm gonna just give it enough to meet the needs of soldering. Same thing goes with this. I'm just gonna trim back a little bit more, so I get a better twist. Whoops. Alright, that's looking real nice. Put it in the hole here. It's okay if it touches all the way across because this is ground. Make sure I'm recording still. Yep, good. Okay. Alright, nothing's pulling out. Alright, so technically, at this stage, we're done. And we just have to flip it over. Just make sure all the wiring sits in the car. Oh, look at that, perfect. So if you follow what I did, you're in good shape at this point. I love those CRL switches. They're just so nice. They're just so precise. You know exactly where you are. Alright, so again, these pickups, I'll have more information on them later, but they are 63 spec'd heavily, meaning that they're honest to a 63, which is what the Silver Sky is modeled after. Same sort of wax and black bobbin and wire and Alnico poles here. So I'm gonna just screw this up and let's hear it.